My 5-year-old son broke character and talked with me like an adult. This happened 2 years ago, and I was so blown away I took notes and told my wife about it. So I still have the notes on my phone. My 5-year-old son was pretty typical for his age, always goofing around, never serious, and always working on some angle to negotiate treats or buying whatever thing was at the top of his list for that week. Kids have a selfish worldview, and that's mostly understandable because they have not matured yet. So when my son asked me to go for a walk, just the two of us, I immediately laughed and thought, okay, what's he going to ask for this time? We started walking and I asked, "What's on your mind, buddy?" He said nothing really. "I just wanted to have some time to be with you and be peaceful and be out in nature." Wow, okay, this is progress, I thought. Then he said, "I want you to know you're the best dad I've ever had. You really do help me and my sister a lot, and you're really very nice. Even though we don't usually tell you, I just wanted to say thank you for everything, and that I want to be near you, always." By this point, the only reason I wasn't completely crying my eyes out is that I thought it was some kind of a joke or lead up to ask for something. This was totally out of character, especially for his age. I managed to croak out something like, "I'm really glad to hear that, and I love you very, very much." Then we just enjoyed the rest of the walk. I really felt for a moment that I was speaking to a soul who had several lives, especially when he said, "You're the best dad I've ever had," and wanted to speak directly to me instead of playing the role of a child. I'm so glad it happened, and it's something I will never forget. Later, he went back to being the same old goofy kid that I love and stopped sounding like an adult. It was really weird. I'm not sure if this is the right place for this post, but I wanted to share it for almost a year. First of all, as this is important, I love my boyfriend to bits. He is my absolute world, and I treasure him deeply. He is also my only true love. Last year, early January, I had a dream. It was a pretty lucid dream, which is uncommon for me. In this dream, I had another boyfriend, which is nothing special, right? But I know this sounds impossible, but I swear this dream lasted for months. At least, it felt like it did, even though it was only a dream. I don't really know how to word this at all, as it feels like it's really huge on my mind right now, but I'll try. This other boyfriend, I remember every line on his face, the way he smells, every inch of his house, his dog, his favorite movies, the time he cried when we saw a dog accidentally fall into a canal near his apartment. It's like a year has passed now and I've not told anybody, but sometimes I lay next to my boyfriend at night and feel utterly heartbroken for this person I've never met. I swear I remember him as fondly as I remember my own siblings. I'm 36 and I've felt like a teenage girl for a year. I've cried on occasion too, feeling totally overwhelmed by the memories and recollections of him. I honestly don't know how else to describe it, as, like I said above, it feels like a huge part of my mind. I have so many wonderful memories with him, with this person. So many, and days in which we just relaxed while playing board games all day. I just wanted to share this as it's been weighing on my mind for over a year now. I'm not understating anything when I say I still feel absolutely gutted about him, about losing him, and about the fact that he's seemingly never even existed at all. I was hanging out in my parents' backyard and my mom brought out Oreos for my kids. My dad, who is highly allergic to wheat, went on to say that he was bummed my mom couldn't find gluten-free Oreos at the store. They are somewhat of a new product and he is obsessed with them. She told him she had some on order and that they would get here in a day or two. Not 10 minutes later, my dad comes around to the back after being out front eating from a pack of gluten-free Oreos. He doesn't question a lot of things. I wouldn't call him ditzy, but maybe nonchalant. My mom's sister and I, on the other hand, were like, "Where the hell did you get those?" He told us they were delivered. Upon further questioning, he said that a guy in a car stopped and asked if he wanted gluten-free Oreos, and my dad said yes. thinking they were the ones my mom ordered. My mom had ordered them from Target, and you should know that Target doesn't send random people in cars to deliver anything. Turns out they were in a plastic grocery bag that was tied with a label printed from Rite Aid. It didn't have any address, just a guy's name, not one of my parents or neighbors. This happened years ago. I was around 16 or 17 years old, but my siblings were younger. My family had just gone to dinner, but my parents needed to drop something off at the post office, so me and my siblings were all waiting in the car for them. We were all staring where we assumed we would see our parents emerge, when this lady walked past and froze in mid-stride. I can still remember her arm swung back with her keys in her hand and with her legs outstretched in front of her. She was frozen for what felt like minutes. We were all freaking out with our faces practically smooshed to the glass when just as suddenly she unfroze and just finished walking to her car like nothing had ever happened. We, of course, were all freaking out, but since everything went back to normal, it was too easy to just move on from it, I guess. Except I really haven't, and I still remember. Has this happened to anybody else here? So I recently just moved to this new town, and I don't know too many people here, yet it's really populated at times, which might sound weird. I was at the grocery store since today is Saturday, and I was getting my weekly groceries. I was walking towards the counter going to join the line to cash out when I remember I needed to get something else. So I walked back with my cart, and as I was going through this one aisle, there was a guy minding his own business. I got this sudden moving urge in my body to say something really specific to him that suddenly popped up in my mind, and so I said to him, "Happy birthday." I didn't even realize I had said it. I didn't know this guy, nor have I ever seen him before. He then turns towards me and says, "Thanks," and looked confused, then starts touching his back, thinking there was a note or something that I saw, but no. He then asked me how I knew that it was his birthday. I told him I really don't know off the top of my head, and I just walked off awkwardly, not saying anything else to the guy. And I just wanted to say something or mention that nothing about what he was doing was giving me any signal or message that it was his birthday. He wasn't even shopping for a cake or decorations. He was in the ketchup aisle looking at one bottle as far as I remember. He wasn't dressed up either, just normal Saturday morning clothes. That's all, but I don't know how that message popped into my head, and I don't know how this happened, but it still kind of trips me out to this day. Okay, so last Wednesday I was swimming and got water in my ear. I don't think it was a big deal, but I never go out, so yesterday I had to go to the doctors to get it flushed out, and they prescribed me amoxicillin and some eardrops because I might have an infection. They also suggested taking Tylenol, which I already had at home. This detail might be relevant later in the story. Anyways, I get home, and that night I vividly recall taking the amoxicillin out of its packaging and opening the bottle to reveal small white pills. I took one and swallowed since I'm supposed to take one pill twice daily. I then went to bed at around 10 p.m. or midnight or so. I remember my eyes itchy, and also I had diarrhea, which I thought might be a mild allergic reaction to the amoxicillin. I can't recall if I had actually fallen asleep yet at this point, and this is also possibly relevant to the rest of the story. Anyways, I wake up this morning and take another amoxicillin, which was already out of the packaging. I remember removing it. However, when I opened the bottle, there was a seal on the bottle that I don't remember being there, and the bottle is sealed shut. It's the same seal you might find on a new bottle of orange juice or ketchup. Basically, the seal proves that I didn't take it previously during the night, despite a clear memory of me doing so. When I take the amoxicillin for real, I do indeed find white pills, but they are a bit larger than what I remember from last night. I'm positive that I was only prescribed one bottle of amoxicillin, so it's not possible that I got a new bottle and forgot where I put the old one. that was open already. I've also never been prescribed this medication in the past, so there's zero chance I had some other bottle of amoxicillin lying around. This is also relevant since I had no idea what amoxicillin looked like, even though my false memory or whatever it was fairly accurate. Okay, I got the size wrong and there's lots of white pills out there, but still. In my mind, the only plausible explanation for what happened is that I took Tylenol last night thinking that it was amoxicillin. Tylenol is indeed a small white pill, which I also have lying around the house, and I did take some as my doctor advised. So you might be thinking this is an obvious answer. However, I have a couple of problems with this theory. Again, when I took the pill last night, I clearly remember amoxicillin written on the label. The other issue is that I kept the amoxicillin and Tylenol in different places. The amoxicillin I keep by my bed, and that's where I took the pill. The Tylenol I keep in a drawer on the other side of the room, and that's where I found it after I had this confusing incident. So if I really did mistake Tylenol for amoxicillin, then why was a Tylenol bottle where I usually keep it and not with the amoxicillin? The only other explanation is that it was a dream. I don't think this is possible since I remember about the itchy eye and the amoxicillin around midnight when I went to bed at around 10. I also was having trouble sleeping, so I'm like 80% sure that I hadn't slept at all at that point, let alone have some kind of a dream about taking a pill and then being convinced that it actually happened. I just have a hard time believing any of that. I love this sub, but I've never experienced quantum immortality or a freeze in time or anything extraordinary like that. However, I've read the flowchart and I believe this fits in. About 5 years ago, I was watching YouTube with my now ex-boyfriend in my room. He often turned on certain YouTubers, and it's all he watched. I never paid much attention, and frankly, I found it quite annoying at times. This video, for some reason, I decided to watch, and it was a storage unit unboxing, which was kind of unusual for the channel we were watching, but I was interested in it. It was pretty uneventful aside from a signed baseball portrait. They ended up pulling out this medium-sized statue or figurine that was a pineapple-shaped body with a man wearing a sombrero. In the same box were these brown little teacups that looked like clay. I chuckled and said, "I want that," and we watched the rest of the video. I deemed the man the Pineapple Man after I saw that figurine. 2 days later, I'm walking through my living room to the backyard. I stop and stare at this thing on my mantle, and my head just kind of felt like static. It felt really weird because I was trying to place this object, and it suddenly came to me. It was a Pineapple Man. I freaked out and ran outside and told my brother's girlfriend, and she told me he picked it up. My brother was a dumpster diver for a short time, and this was one of the items that he found in a dumpster. I'm sitting there freaking out, and my ex runs out asking, "Did you see what's on the mantle?" So I knew that it was the same one, and I could not have possibly confused it for something else. And it is absolutely not common, like some kind of a Walmart decoration. It was a very unique statue. Unfortunately, it did not come with the man, only the pineapple, the sombrero, and the cups. The cups were the main thing that I wanted. I'd like to think that it was manifestation, but it felt like a glitch because of all the other factors that I mentioned. But it's been a couple of years. I still have the cups. Alright, so this is really strange. It happens on occasion, and I usually don't forget about it since it's only when I'm drifting off to sleep. I like to listen to stories and podcasts when I go to bed. They help me sleep. I know that's pretty normal, and I'm wondering if anybody else has experienced this. I'll be drifting off and I'll hear part of what I'm listening to, like a line of narration, and then I wake up and the same line will repeat itself. It's very odd. It's a bit like deja vu as far as how it makes me feel, except it's more vivid since I literally just heard the same line seconds earlier. The first couple of times it happened, I assumed it was some kind of an actual technical glitch in the audio itself, the recording. But when it continued to happen, I realized that this was not the case. I can't think of any other logical reason why I would hear a line of dialogue before it plays in my headphones. Maybe it's another one of those strange sleep phenomena things, and it's just messing with my head, making me think I heard it twice. Either way, it's pretty eerie. It happened today, and I made a point of staying awake for a minute to make a mental note and ensure I didn't forget again. I'm interested to know if anybody else has experienced this or has a possible explanation for what I'm hearing. My partner and I were at an indoor-outdoor restaurant where the walls are made of garage doors and open all the way up. We were sitting at the table closest to the door near the bar. Nobody could have walked back or forth from the bar without passing our table. There was no indoor entrance. Everyone going into the bar has to come from the outdoor area. This was about 5:30 or 6 in the evening, and it was happy hour and nobody was intoxicated. Anyways, a large woman with a tiny dog on a leash walked behind me to go into the bar. We both noticed because she was basically dragging the dog, which was stopping to sniff everything. She said something to the dog, told it to come, and kept going past us, and sat at the bar. About 45 seconds later, the woman with the same dog walked past us again on the same path. Only this time the dog was walking fine, no dragging, and the woman didn't say anything. She went and sat on the same stool at the bar, except she hadn't walked by us, and there was no other way for her to have circled back and forth and come around without passing our table. My partner and I looked at each other and felt super freaked out, not sure if others around us experienced the same thing. We both saw it, and it made no sense. It had to be some kind of a glitch.